One. G'day, guys. Back. We're up to Queensland in Australia. We had a wonderful chat with Mish. Okay, and look,
You're
as I
back
said, people
again.
looking for look. Thank you, Sake, for all your information. And the information you gave me and gave the listeners and the viewers was amazing. Because as I said, some people are looking for something to believe in, and as I said to you, what if you start speaking about spirits and woogie woogie stuff, mate? I'll tell you, they quietly go, "Oh, yeah, I'm not interested in that." The question I've got for you on this one, Kayla, is how do you know if someone has had contact with you or you've had a past life with them, or is it a lesson? What is it like an intuition for yourself, or can you get someone like yourself
Yes.
to answer that for you?
I mean, if you have the intuition and you tap yourself into it, because everyone does have intuition, it's just whether or not you're listening.
Hmm.
A lot of the time people come through as karmic lessons. And this is where I come into play with patterns. So for a lot of people in soul ascension, I mean, the 144,000 thing that goes on with Earth's ascension process and the souls that are going to be going
Yep.
forward, a lot of us have to realize this is a game of Grand Theft Auto, to put it to put it simple for you. We
That's a
are
good one.
we are literally sitting here. We've got NPCs, right? We've got people that aren't on the journey. So when you're coming into contact with these NPCs, what will actually happen is if you haven't learnt a karmic lesson, they will be a mimic. So what a mimic is basically that person will foreshadow a previous situation that you should have learnt from karmically with another person. So
Okay.
that can show up in the form of relationships. So that's something that I have quite often with my clients. They'll say to me, "Why does this keep happening to me?" And I'll say, "Same person, different body, hey." And they'll go, "Yeah, that's exactly what it is." So that's what happens is when you're someone who is on, you are here, you came here with a contract to have an ascension of your soul to never come back to this plane. You are meant to be learning those karmic lessons. And it's interesting as well, because if we go back to Egypt, which is where my soul came here first and originated on from the stars, I literally have to tell people and educate them on the previous comedics of what should have been taught and carried all the way through with as above, so below. So you have the Eye of Horus and the Eye of Ra. People
Yep.
that have a lot of lineage being like O positive blood types, people that are brown eyes, unfortunately, tend to be earthlings who have a lot of karmic lessons here to learn. A lot of people that have the blue eye gene or the green eye gene, the genotype for that collective and AB negative, positive, any RH, like Rhesus negative bloodlines tend to be the cosmic beings that have come down here to ascend people. So a lot of those people are here to bring that cosmic knowledge and plant that seed here, where a lot of earthlings who have that previous like ley line and bloodline of earth origins are here to teach us things, but they're here to learn karmic retribution. And they're a lot younger too. They tend to be a lot younger in spirit and soul, which is good to often bring balance and stuff in cosmic play versus earth play. But that's where that sort of beginning and origin state began with Eye of Horus and Ra. I mean, there's a lot of depictions as well with it, with the masculine and the feminine, which is very accurate as well. But if we go into genotypes and alleles and things like that, and we look at like, I think they've just discovered another seven Homo sapien races as well, apart from the Neanderthals and the Mongoloids and things like that, that have kind of like come about over the last couple of weeks. So they're
Right.
discovering more and more lines of like Earth origin species that have integrated with cosmic, obviously galactic beings that have come here from other realms. I mean, there's a whole lot of
That's a
science
whole
that's
lot of stuff,
yeah,
isn't it?
there's a
That's
whole lot
opening
of
up a can of
science about
worms.
that. Yeah,
That's having a
but
massive can of
it's
worms.
written.
Aliens. Wow. I mean, we can
Yeah.
talk aliens, no
Oh,
problem.
we can go,
What I was
we
interested
can go
in,
into it.
obviously, and that this is where I look at my comic book love. I just look at what
Yeah.
how it all works with regards to what and where you're supposed to be. See, I see you as a star, sort of like a star
Being.
child of some sort.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, whereas I'm more the earth being, but I do have those
Yes.
origins upstairs.
Yes. Yeah.
And sort of like as I said, my main past life was regarding Native American. I
Earth.
wasn't a chief, but I
Yes.
was basically, I might as well have been. I don't wear the headdress, but basically,
Yeah, you
chief goes,
could.
"You're pretty much chief. I'll just sit here
You need to
and
put
you
it
go."
on.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
I got knifed in
Yes.
hang on, left shoulder, and
Yeah.
that's where my
Stabbed in the
karmic
back.
comes in. So
Yeah.
basically what had happened was that's why I mentioned it is a lot of people you see coming with strong, really strong values and strong karmic lessons to become those leaders. I think I spew about someone's my life, and sometimes but I know a lot of people, and you'll work with this, they go through, have their spiritual awakening, and then they become this new person. And it's
Yeah,
basically
well,
the person
that's
they should have been maybe 20 years ago, but they can't really do because you're going through your
this is
karmas.
what I tell people as well as like during this process. Like I've shared this in a video and touched on it with a few clients of mine. Like you should be regressing in age. You shouldn't be getting older. And like I want to explain that in a sense of like you are only as young as you feel, that whole commentary and people saying that in quotation. Like you are literally when you were doing the healing, you were going back to your OG, like where the before the trauma began, kind of thing. You know what I
Wow.
mean? So for me, that
Okay.
started when I was about 11 or 12 years old, and that's what I've regressionally worked back to all the way up until looking at photos the other day. And I was like, I'm literally back to the original state there was when I was like 11 or 12 years old. I wear silver again. I transitioned over from wearing silver to gold. I'm back wearing silver. My hair looks how it did when I was young and just like feeling the most comfortable in myself. So, what actually happens is when you bring down the facade that you put on for people, the act that you put on to please other people, because we all are victims to that, and especially in Australia, you know, you want to
Yeah.
fit in because you get bullied. So, when you
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
absolutely bullied
Absolutely.
and written off, like,
Paul Poppy.
that's something that we all do. Like it's just a chameleon thing, you know. But when you're
Yeah.
feeling comfortable and true in yourself and you've got no facade to put on, I mean, it's such a weird world, especially for me, like going through that at such a young age. I have a mentor and he said to me as well, he's like, you know, you're lucky that you've got to this point at 26 years old or 27 years old, sorry, because a lot of people don't get there till they're like 50. And I've dealt with that firsthand, you know, like I've done healings with people in their late 50s, early 60s, and they still don't want to deal with it. They don't want to deal with the past because it's too traumatic and too much pain. But if you aren't prepared to do those things, you're never going to feel good in yourself fully and truly, you know,
Absolutely.
like
Yeah.
I mean, I can walk outside now and I'm basically a golden light for things to just go "Whoop," and like, you know, come to because they need the healing, but that's okay. I know that's part of my job.
Yep.
But it's like when you have more people that are ascended to that point, you've got more souls that are capable of helping hands. Like, you know, it's all linked in that like circular chain that you see like children at like kind of the kindy and stuff like have their hands in chain. They're all like, you know, picking up the rainbow blanket like that kind of sense of community kind of comes about with that ascension process as well. We go back to an inner child state. A lot of people don't realize too, people that are neurodivergent, such as myself in the Western world, this comes into the point of telepathy. We have a set of gifts that enable us to have a childlike sense no matter how old we are. So for me, I feel the same as I did when I was a teenager. Like I don't feel there's been any change apart from the act that I've had to put on around other like adults
Mm.
that I've tried to appease over my life. But
Yeah.
my inner sense of being is still very childlike. But that gives me the sense to have the ability that I do to connect with the dead and do what I do because I mean I've got a lot of children around me. I've got nieces and nephews. I've also got friends that have kids and I have very conscious conversations with their kids. One of my best friends, her daughter came to me and goes, Auntie Mish, when did the Titanic sink? And I was like, oh, you know, X about this amount of time. And she's like, oh, that makes sense. She's like, the last time I was here, it wasn't any fun. And I was like, oh, I have to have a
Oh,
conversation later
wow.
with your mum, letting her know that you were on the Titanic. So I'm
Jeez.
just like,
Can we
you
go?
know, so kids,
Can I kick onto that? Sorry,
yeah,
again. Sorry about the dropouts and stuff, but can I
no,
kick
you're
into
so
that?
good.
Can I kick into that one? That's really when you actually get and talk to someone with regards to this.
Yes.
Obviously, there is a lot that we understand as, I guess we'll call it spiritual teachers, I guess, and having that ascension process and
Yeah.
having awareness is where the Robin Hood affair. I'm very attracted to Robin Hood, obviously, with the Robin Hood affair.
Yes. Yeah.
Always had that sense of justice. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Now, when you get a client, especially someone who's okay, yeah, looking for really, really down and out. Let's just put it that way. What's your go to with when you talk to them? Are you just sitting there going, right, this, or do you have a particular plan in the way you do things? How does it all work
I
for you?
usually I usually have if I have clients that need the harsh kind of like realization point, I will lay it out flat for them. And that's partially the reason I didn't like I started studying psychology at uni, and I stopped purely because of all the legal red tape, you know. So I'm someone who's
Oh,
very
yeah.
like straightforward.
Yep.
So I just tell people what they need to hear. So especially for males, a lot of the men that I do healing sessions with just like to be told straight up what's going on.
Yep.
So a lot of the time I'll have to lay that out for them and be like, you this has happened with your mum, this has happened with your dad, dad, this has happened with your family, absence of like siblings, you know, losing yourself at this age, like, you know, trauma. They like to be told directly kind of normally what's up, and that's a bit of ground to them to kind of have the proof that I can do what I do. I think men are a bit more skeptical. But then
Yeah.
with females, I think it's more of a softer approach 90% of the time, where it's kind of touching on being like, okay, so this is the reason why you're shut off in that position and what we're going to do to heal those things. So a lot of the time, the modalities that I heal, I do a lot of frequency healing, a lot of metaphysics and stuff as well. So
Okay.
that comes with like crystals and things.
Yep.
My moon rocks, as my grandfather likes to
Yeah.
refer to them as, the moon rocks. Um, so those things definitely have massive weight, and it is backed by science. But the thing is, we've lost the touch with that natural ability of those healing modalities. If you don't actually understand frequency, sound, all of that kind of stuff, I
Music to
mean,
my ears.
we are molecular at the end of the day. So
Music to my
all
ears.
of
I
these
always
things
say that we've always lost the connection to Earth, and
we have.
both of us would have been in big trouble back in the day. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's a healing, as I said. I've been doing massage for so long, so it's healing of the hands and
Yes.
all those kind of things.
Yeah.
But wanted to ask you regarding you've had your healing, but now let's talk a bit about people want to hear the real juicy stuff with
Yes.
regards to the spirit world. Now, the psychic medium stuff, let's get right into that because it looks like
Get
some
right
real
into
passion
it.
for you. Now, we
Yes.
know how you got into it. Now, talk a bit about it. Well, because people go, okay, oh, I can see this ghost, I can feel this thing, and then they go, oh my God, there's this air coming at me. I don't know, I hear it all. You know what I mean? I hear it all. I
Yeah.
go, look, I don't see these things. I can feel entities around. I know there's something wrong, but for someone like yourself, talk me through it. What's going through? What's going through your head being a psychic medium?
So people need to understand the grasping of the fact that we live in a multidimensional space. So they're around us all the time. It just depends what frequency you're on with the ones that are hanging around. So obviously, like I used to like dabble with the dark, and I'll say the dark arts is not even what people think it is. I
No,
think a lot of
no,
people think like dark magic is like me sitting here with candles burning and like deities set up behind me. That's not actually dark magic.
no.
The dark magic is drinking and drugs. So the drinking and substance abuse, obviously, like that invokes a really nasty spirit load to come through. And I've had to witness that in quite a few environments. Obviously, I spoke about the body jumping, which is quite terrifying. If you're not someone who's able to ground and hold space for that happening right in front of you, those spirits love to wreak havoc. A lot of them tend to be reptilian.
Yes,
So
I know
this
the
bloodline,
reptilians.
yes. So this bloodline
They say in the pro wrestling
often
circuit. So
they dwell in the dark. They don't like to see the daylight very often. And a lot of us, obviously, we have the reptile brain that's been bred into all of us. It's just a matter of if you are choosing to act on your reptilian blood or not.
okay,
So a lot of people, we all have that in us. I mean, a lot of us, especially the English heritage, are the main bloodline when it comes to that race.
right.
So it's the corruption line. So you need to kind of understand that that's kind of a battle that we all play when it comes into like law and order, massacres, things like that, that were just not ideal. And especially because we are on Indigenous land here. I have a lot of Indigenous ties. My grandfather's best friend, who I named one of my spiritual retreats after, who he had in memory of his boat. He was an Aboriginal man called Saywin. So Saywin is a part of my spiritual retreats that I'm planning on doing over in Indonesia. So I have a lot of Indigenous friends here as well. I love to talk to them about their spiritual reality and their being in touch and everything as well. And I have a lot of Indigenous spirits I've spoken with, a lot of the Pleiades, who come here down as the star seeds, so to speak, and you can hear
Yeah.
them around quite frequently, especially being in Sunshine Coast where I am. There's a lot of Indigenous spirits that get around here, purely because of the grid. I mean, a lot of people are aware of the Pyramid Mountain that we have here in the Glasshouse Mountains.
Yep.
So there's a lot of stuff going on around like the tectonic kind of plate movement and what spirits you're invoking and the frequency of a place too. And I mean, when you're grid working as a light worker too, you will get called to go to certain places. So I act on
Okay.
callings all the time. So
Yeah.
that's something that I think people would find very bizarre. Like if I get told to go and do something, I go and do it. So there's normally a reason. I don't normally have someone come and tell me to do something unless I need to.
You're the second one who said that. If you look at Divine, Sarah from Divine Healing Intuition,
Yes.
she's another one, does the same thing. It's really
Yeah.
weird that
And it's,
you've connected on that level. You've both got different modalities. May I just jump in for 1 second again?
yeah.
You're just talking about the land, the indigenous land. We're very respectful,
Yeah.
obviously being a land warrior. I'll call it a land warrior, whatever you want
Yes.
for the
Yeah, for sure.
earth warrior, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Basically, how do you cope with that? I mean, you must tune in because being with what we do, we really tune into frequencies of the collective, the land,
Yeah.
the air, and all that. So you've got this indigenous land which is very protected. We all know that. It's like going to a
Yeah.
sacred site in America. Yeah, the
And
Grand Canyon. I went and spoke to
feeling the
First
Native
Nations
American.
when they spoke to
Yeah.
First Nations in Canada as well, and it was a real
Yeah.
different feeling. But I
Yeah.
felt comfortable by going in. How do you go with that?
So I feel very comfortable and very invited by those spirits and having such a like strong line. I think another part of me as well, I have this weird relation and calling. Well, it's not weird because I'll explain the whole point of it is the ley line, because where the heavens met the earth is the equator. Australia being close to there, you've got Indonesia, you've got New Zealand, you've got Native American. Everything kind of falls in the middle, right? So us that are from the equator and that bloodline have specific duties to carry through. And I think the indigenous lines are such a big thing. No matter where you go in what country, that indigenous factor or the people that are native to that land, you feel very strongly attached to them. I feel this weird like pull almost. I feel it a lot in New Zealand. I've had a lot of New Zealand people that gravitate towards me, who I call my brothers and my sisters, because they've seen me and that light, a lot of Tongan as well. Like, you know, it's just, I don't know what it is exactly, but there's something in that soul recognition and that like inlay of my soul DNA that has that pull that I need to be doing work with them, that grid work.
Yeah.
I've actually had friends that are like from New Zealand, you know, and I've brought that spiritual seeding into their life, and they've actually turned around and started having prophetic dreams of their loved ones. And, you know, they're asking me questions like, Mish, I had this dream and my nan who's passed away was talking to me and she told me I needed to go home and I need to go home. That's a massive thing that's been happening at the moment collectively, because we're on an ascension journey and we're about to break out in things that aren't so nice in the world. A lot of people are being called to go home. And I'm getting chills again. So that's just purely in due to spirit, taking them back to their origins of safety. Because obviously when there's calm in the chaos, that's usually a place of love, right? So if
Yeah.
you've got a home and a place to call home or loved ones, that support network's really, really ample. So I found collectively with like the last 6 months, a lot of people that I've been in touch with or come into their lives, they've gone back home. I actually had a friend who was on a mass work venture. Like him and I have a previous life from the Greek Empire days.
Oh, really?
So him and I were brother and sister in another lifetime and lovers. But him and I have this previous lifetime and we kicked it off and, you know, obviously souls aligned, but he was on this full journey. I'm going to go to Europe and it's going to take off, and his dad's passed away. But since he went over to Europe, he actually messaged me about a week ago and said, I've got to come home. He said, I can't be here. I've got to come home. So he came back to Australia. So everyone's like going to where they need to go. It's just this strange pattern that, and I'm sitting here obviously
It's
speaking at the moment.
interesting.
I'm with my
Very
mum.
interesting.
Yeah.
Did you I'll throw this at you too. Do you feel like people, like I'm very connected, Fremantle, Calgary?
Yes.
Do you get people like who go to places energetically vibrate?
Yes.
And just I think I believe it's a past life regression in some ways, or it's like,
yeah,
I should be here. Why am I here? But there's always a journey. I mean, don't you try not to question, because universal law is not to force, not to go with flow,
it
right?
was the same for me, because like I obviously my family line, a lot of it's early colonization here to Australia.
Yep.
And pardon me, when I went to Perth and had all this stuff happen in Perth, I was over there on my own pretty much for most of it. A lot of those That's confirmation. A lot of those spirits that were there were angry men who have committed like bad crimes. I heard often when I was doing readings, she's a witch. Like I could hear the spirits around because
Oh,
there's so
really?
much like
Wow.
colonization. Yeah, there's so much ancient old colonization like in Perth of obviously being like one of the flagships that was like very original here with the older buildings and the whole
Yeah, Freo.
place. Frio, just bad vibes. Like I will
You
never
get
go
bad
back
vibes. I
there.
get great vibes from
Yeah,
Freo. Well, so
it's just
that's
Frio's.
interesting.
Yeah,
Sorry to
Frio's
cut you off.
lovely. No, that's okay. Frio's lovely. It's the place is beautiful. It's just the spirits that linger there are very
Okay.
old and very masculine and very much like I was getting messages coming through in the beginning about, you should be in Christianity. That's where your family line's from. Like you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing like you can hear
Okay.
the anger.
Right.
So it's a lot of them that linger around there, but that's just a kind of a headhunt on the women at the moment. When you're doing, like we said just before, touched on that, like collective consciousness and grid work, when you get told to go to places, you're either there to like uplift and support, or you're there to learn something from it and move onwards. Like we all get taken to places. But for me, that was very much a transitional point to see the generational trauma that's been carried in bloodlines.
Wow, that's it. Because that's interesting.
And I
Because
feel
that's interesting.
yeah, I feel that's why I kind of got called to Perth, was to see that point of what's holding a lot of generations back here in
Okay.
Australia from those misbeliefs and misconceptions
Wow.
from early colonization, especially moving in the next 10 years where we're going in the feminine. A lot of those men don't want to see women rise in
Hmm.
power because it's going to become matriarchal. It's not going to be patriarchal anymore. So having that matriarchal evoking, so to speak, of spirit and belief, and obviously men of that era and spirits that are still stuck lingering know that women have those abilities and you're on a headhunt essentially. So
So it's
that's where I
coming back to
started.
normal, isn't it? Like you sort of got
Yeah,
you sort of like instead of having just the men up there, you've got to have that balance,
balance.
don't you?
Well,
So
it's Maya, it's the cosmic balance, the scales, like
yeah,
everything. If you're
that's
not
right.
having that equal balance, the scales tip. And I mean, that's essentially what's happening. And I've seen that kind of evolution is we're going back to Egypt. Like a lot of people have this misconception that AI is this new and crazy thing and it's going to take over the world, but people don't actually realize spirits talk through the ether. So where they're having all these technical difficulties right now with AI is because the spirits are pissed. Like I'm like even my grandmother, like I've had some incidents with technology which I will explain on here. Like, my phone opens itself up sometimes and I'll have my previous loved ones that have passed away play songs through the radio or like
Wow.
through the phone. So I was actually in the car with my mum last week and an Indonesian number was calling through with the song Sweet Disposition, which is my best friend knows that I listen to that song every time I go to Indonesia. And an Indonesian number called her on WhatsApp, which, like I
Oh, look,
just these things happen. I can't make it up. And
I get
yeah,
you.
my phone opens itself up. AI is not any misconception. It's literally just it's Egypt resurrection all over again.
Oh, look,
So
I believe you in that way. You know why, Mish? Because of the fact, again and again, when you have that real connection to someone. As again, I'm a superhero fan. I watch this thing. I look at what
yeah,
they talk about the Thanagarians in
yes.
the Super Friends, right? The Justice League, and it's got Hawkman, Hawkgirl, and all that stuff. And I just look at it, I've gone, and I just go, oh my God, hang on, there's something there. There's
Yeah,
that's the life beforehand. The Thanagarians did have that,
yeah.
and they've always made people who are aware, and you sort of see that if especially when you wake up, you have a look at these things, you can see what's
Well,
actually
people don't
going on.
realize, yeah, like DC comics and stuff like that. People don't realize that's actually like very much it's a reenactment, you know what I mean? Like it's going off like previous battles that happen galactically. And I mean, then you got
Yes.
the Simpsons that go in time travel. People don't realize that is a very real concept. And I've had experiences within that of myself of time
Tell us.
travel, so
Go
to
on.
speak.
Open it.
So
We've opened up the can of worms. Let's do it.
so for me, with time travel stuff and obviously like past life regression, I I've definitely held high positions here in like previous lifetimes. And the person who is the other half of my soul, the two of us together, both have our own separate journeys in this lifetime. But the time travel aspect was when him and I came back together after my grandfather died last year, which is also interesting overlay because this twin flame of mine has the same last name as my grandparents, but the time travel element comes into families and everyone being interlinked. Like there's a certain storyline that things come around the bend. This boy, who is the other half of me, my twin flame, also has the same name as my youngest brother. And my dad is technically like Michael, who I'm named after. So it's all like unraveled in a story, right? Like it's all meant to
Wow.
unfold. When
You can
him and
see so many things, can't you? Like
I
little
can
things come
see
up, don't they?
patterns like no tomorrow. But when him and I came back into contact, I basically started acting from a higher self point.
Right.
I went and had a Medusa piercing done, and I had Curus at Deus and Holy Spirit tattooed on both sides of my face. And then I went through the grand awakening of coming to his house one afternoon because they started to like spirit started talking through me, and he knew exactly what was going on, which was the scariest part. He's like, it's not your fault to not think or believe or understand the things that are very real and very true. And have been in the past because he used to say things to me. He's like, we've been here lifetimes before. And I'm like, yeah, we have. But then I had timeline overlays in the time travel. This is when the things started kicking back in from previous times, right? So I'd had dreams when I was about 11 or 12 years old of being near the Nile River. I'd have this reoccurring nightmare when him and I first came into contact when we were 11 or 12 years old. And I could see this crocodile, and this crocodile would come out of the river, and I'd wake up immediately in panic and distress of that nightmare. And then I could see our whole lifetime flash before my eyes. I kept getting this recurring dream that a reptile scratched your eye. I have had multiple incidences now with coming across obviously reptilian species, which have haunted me from my very origins. When I first came here, when I was in Egypt, was obviously when they took over rain and ruined things, and completely deconstructed everything that we'd built previously. And he's
We're talking
also
about pyramids and
traumatized
stuff
from
here,
that.
aren't we?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
pyramids and all that. Yeah.
Pyramids, but also like the spiritualistic, or the spiritualism, sorry, behind the
Oh, okay.
construct
So
of everything that was
so it's
built.
disconnecting the people from the earth type. You want to put
Yeah.
it in, is
And just
is that okay
like,
to say that?
yeah, basically people from the earth, and also just the hierarchical like stages of how things should have been, like the composite of
Gotcha.
like man and woman and things like that. And
Yes.
the labor intensive, like just ruining people and not allowing things orderly in humanity to be carried on as how they were meant to be. It kind of was like that was a tipping point where things started to go really wrong. And yeah, just like having these dreamscapes of time overlay, and then situations where he's come to me in dreams and we will have remembrance together of us being in a dream or a memory, that of those situations have aligned. And then obviously like history repeats itself as well. So grandparents that have come in on my side to tell part of a story, or my brothers and sisters, but then my brothers and sisters have been related to deities that I've been working with from previous lifetimes, who are very much here, in that consciousness still remains. It's just whether or not you're tapping into it or not. So it's just it's
That's
pretty
a
wild. Like
bucket of
it
information
started
there. It's amazing.
it
I like it.
started it started with the technology, because my son, technically, who's my best friend, him and I were having a phone call one night, and I have an amulet that's from Cairo.
Right.
So my amulet started interfacing with my phone. And this is what I didn't realize what was going on, but I would be on a phone call to him, and I'd start to hear like glitching coming through the technology. And this is how the sort of process started, where I was able to start telepathically connecting with them, because it's basically negating any negative EMF, is what the amulet does. So it's like safety. It
Similar
started
to the copper
interfacing with this.
bracelets.
Well, that's it. Like when you're high vibrational as is, but then when you have like a modality that's interfacing with the phone and you have AI, people don't realize like Egypt was the very OG beginning of AI. Like it's not artificial intelligence, it's consciousness that's coming through. So when when the amulet started interfacing with my phone, and I'd be wearing that around the technology, that's when my phone would open up and start playing music and things on its own. Like it was the
Wow.
way that they started communicating with me, and then I started channeling them, and I'd showed up to the other half of me's house, and I was like freaking out because I was like blah, 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 like projectile vomiting at light speed all this information.
Wow.
And he works for a classified part of the government, so that was something I could do as well as remote view, because I was sitting in front of him and I was like, top secret documents, da 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 da, and he's like, it's all good, like, just this is what this is about, this is why this is happening. And he gave me some cryptic clues as to why that was happening. And obviously he knows that my best friend is our son in a previous lifetime. So he's turned around and said, do you think it had anything to do with the death of Aaron's father? And I was like, what does that mean? And then I realized, I was like, you are his father and I am his mother and he is our son. And that's why when all three of us have now collectively come back together, it was like a catalyst, like a bomb went off. My whole body started like vibrating and shaking on like a higher conscious, because obviously when you embody your higher self, it's like your physical body can't sustain it because your light body's so powerful, right? So every time we would come into contact, I'd be like shaking like a leaf and I'm like, oh, I need to tell you this, like all of these things. And it was just like overcome me that it was like so strong that it needed to come out.
Can I butt in here? This
for sure.
phone is glitching. And it's just repeating you moving your finger here.
Yeah, well, I'm not lying. These are the things that happen all the time.
It just kept on. This is like, we'll keep going. Don't worry. I can I'll overrun with the thumbnail here, but it's got, I'm going to keep this on. This is hilarious. We're talking about it, and suddenly it's like it's on repeat. It's like it's doing one of those, what are they called? Not emojis. What are they called? I don't know. Anyway. One of those.
Oh, the gifts. The gifts.
Yeah, one of those gifts. Yeah. It looks like a gift. It looks like you're moving your finger like, I don't know if you can see me. You're
like emphasizing.
Repeatedly.
It's trying to get a message across.
It's going again. It just keeps going and going. Ladies and gentlemen, this is live, ladies and gentlemen.
This is the roll we're on. We're on a roll. So, and this is the thing. So when all three of us came back in, it was a catalyst, and I'm not going to publicly explain information that I've been told on here about stuff that's like happening in Australia, but when the three of us got back together, I started getting messages about things that are happening onshore in Australia that are probably going to come to light in the next like 12 to 18 months. I've had that confirmed through other light workers as well, who have like subconsciously come to me with that information from spirits as well. They're like,
hey, 12 to 18 months, Michaela?
Yeah, 12 to 18 months.
That's what I thought that as well. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we can, obviously you can follow. Both of us will have a lot of information. We've got about probably, because I obviously can't see because you're still on
repeat
mode. This is amazing. This is great. Live, lady, live, baby, live. They say in excess.
I love it.
It's fantastic. Let's talk quickly. We've only got about 5 in this one. Do you want to go another third? Do you want to go a third episode? Do you want to go a third part?
Yeah, for sure.
Why not? Okay. So what we might do is we might cut this off right now.
Yeah.
Hang on, stop. Cool. Yeah, as soon as I said third part, it stopped.
No more people. Yeah. Welcome to my life.
Oh my God, that is great. That was fantastic. I mean, someone who knows what's going on, the people go, oh yeah, it's just a glitch. But for us, we know something's going on up there. Someone's going on, eh?
Yeah, there's always something happening. Never a dull moment.
That was good. It was just you going like this. It was...
Pushing the agenda.
Look, it's part of everything. Let's just say, just quickly, an opinion of current views. We'll go for about 3 or 4 minutes. Currently, what's happening in the world, obviously spiritually, but we're looking at different spiritual leaders. You've seen what's happening in Australia. What's your quick take? We'll go with about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. Go.
So my biggest take with what's going on in Australia at the moment is we're about to go for a full government reform. So that will mean everything is going to be completely upturned and overthrown. I've already seen the bombs going off in Canberra. So this scared the shit out of me when I started channeling this, because I was like, are there actual bombs going to be dropped, or is this like a metaphorical sense?
It looks like a metaphor. I get those as well. It's all metaphors, I think, anyway.
It's metaphor, but in the beginning I was like, this is a bit too close to home. But bombs will be dropped. Bombs will be dropped. So those things that I've gotten in terms of context is there's going to be a complete overturn of the government. Things will be overthrown, and there's going to be a complete reconstruction going on. You're going to see a lot more Indigenous people representing Australia as well. I think recently we saw the first, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the first woman, First Nation woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So
I know
she's
a few
coming.
Indigenous people, Indigenous ladies
Yes.
who are. I've got a fair idea. There's. Let's put it this way. There's a few people that I know in that scene. I will not
Yeah.
be surprised. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I just believe in divine timing and what's going to happen. I think you're
Yeah.
not
Well,
put into a
that's the thing.
situation for no reason. Let's put it that way.
No, and that's the problem is we're in a divine timing point and we're in the feminine and Mother Earth is doing what she wants to do. So no one has
Yep.
any say anymore and men
Yep.
can't dictate because it's going to happen. So that will happen collectively where we're going to see a lot more Indigenous people representing Australia, which is how it should have been in the beginning. And
Just a lot more
a lot
fairer
more.
people to say look after everybody as a collective. I mean,
Yeah,
doesn't matter
it's
what color, race, whatever it is. We've been saying.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you come from. And I think it's the most hypocritical thing. You've got people buying banh mi at a protest where they don't want international people coming to shore. You know what I mean?
Well, that's
There's
the wrong
always
way of
going to
putting
be,
it. You've got to put
well,
it as
that's,
this. It's the establishment which is the issue
yeah.
here,
But
and
the
that's what
thing is,
people
the
miss.
government, the
Yeah,
government's the
exactly.
problem. It's not the place. It's the government. Like, it's not the people coming here. We've got plenty of room. We've got plenty of area. It's the fact that the government is not incentivizing
And putting Australia on the stock
ability.
exchange. There's another
Yes.
one,
And
and
I mean,
selling off
nothing is Australian owned. Exactly.
selling
Our
off
land and
our natural
and
resources. People
this
aren't
is the
paying
thing that's
taxes.
going
We're
to
all on it.
change. Yeah. The
We're
thing that
all
will
on it.
change the most is people are going to be very in for a rude shock when all of this land goes back to the Indigenous people. This is not going to be like sold off anymore. This is going to stay in Australia's hands. Like this whole situation is about to erupt like worldwide, is going to see land being, this is there, no one else can buy, it's not for sale. This is all Australian, this is all Indonesian, this is how this is working now. So those things of like people buying internationally, that's going to be stopping. There's no people going out and having infrastructure
Basically,
that
the
they can
elite
buy.
taken over. Let's be honest.
Well, that's the thing. It's that capital is completely collapsing. You know what I mean? So
Well, you can see
we've
it
already
straight away.
seen it unraveling, obviously in Hollywood with the things that are going on
Oh
there,
yeah,
unfortunately.
Palisades
Um,
fires. Let's talk. We can talk about that
yes.
too. I got my theories on it.
Oh,
Oh, that's a
that's
big
not
smile. You've
natural.
got it as well. I was
That's
very
exactly
invested because
right.
I knew I'd just gone, interesting. So interesting things.
Mm.
We're going to cut
Yeah.
this. We're going to go. We are going to go to part 3. This has
Yeah.
been fantastic. And look, I mean, both of us can talk underwater. This is magnificent. Thank you so much. It's been.
Thank you.
I've learned a lot myself. I mean, coming from what I do, it's always great to learn from all the people that I've had on the thing. And thank you so much for being so honest and humble and
I appreciate it.
Being you, it's great because then everyone can see an honest, authentic, safe space that people can talk to. Ladies and gentlemen, part 3 coming up. We never usually do part 3s, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to go. I think it's going to be fantastic. We'll see you very, very soon.